The imperial palace gleamed under the golden afternoon sun, its towering spires rising against the blue sky like guardians of the empire's secrets and traditions. In the grand halls, a murmur of excitement filled the air, as if every ancient tapestry and carved piece of furniture were eager to witness the unfolding of destiny. Emperor Gaston, heir to a noble lineage that stretched back to time immemorial, walked through the corridors with the dignity of a lion among marble columns. His eyes, deep and penetrating, reflected the gravity of the moment approaching. The time had come to fulfill one of the empire's oldest traditions, the choosing of his future wife. For centuries, this tradition had echoed through the corridors of time, since the first emperors laid the foundations of the empire. It was a ritual that transcended generations, a testament of love and commitment to the people and to history itself. In the days leading up to the grand selection, the villages surrounding the palace buzzed with a mix of anxiety and hope. Young women, each representing a family, a story, a life, prepared for the moment that could change their destinies forever. Since ancient times, each emperor had been charged with choosing a wife who would not only share his throne, but also his heart and soul. It was more than a political formality. It was a union of fates, a continuation of the royal bloodline, and above all, a vow to true love. As the sun slowly dipped below the horizon, bathing the palace in hues of orange and rose, nobles and aspiring empresses began to gather in the halls. Luxurious gowns and flawless attire competed in brilliance and elegance, each representing a noble house with its own ambitions and interests. Among the hopefuls, one young woman stood out like a pearl among diamonds. Her name was Sophie, a radiant beauty with brown hair and eyes that sparkled like stars. Her presence was a beam of light amid the crowd, and her grace and kindness won hearts wherever she went. Sophie was a village girl with a free spirit and unshakable determination. From an early age, she had learned to trust her own voice and follow her own path, even when it meant going against the current. She refused to take part in the cultural activities meant to showcase the candidates. While the other young women practiced elegant dances, learned to play musical instruments, and recited ancient poems, Sophie preferred to spend her time outdoors, running through wildflower fields and listening to birdsong. To her, the court's traditions were nothing but empty formalities, a game of appearances that did not reflect the true essence of a person. She believed that real beauty came from within, from a genuine and authentic soul that could not be shaped by external expectations or social norms. While her parents and friends urged her to conform to society's expectations, Sophie stood firm in her convictions. She knew she couldn't change who she was just to please others. Her integrity was worth far more than any title or position of power. She believed the emperor to be a cold and loveless man. Since childhood, Sophie had heard tales of the ruler's rigidity and lack of affection. She imagined a distant, indifferent man, whose heart was as frozen as the ice that blanketed the kingdom's highest mountains. To Sophie, the thought of marrying someone she believed incapable of love was unbearable. She longed for true love, a partner who would cherish her not for her title or status, but for who she truly was. While the other candidates dreamed of the glory and prestige that came with the title of empress, Sophie grew increasingly disheartened by the idea of sharing her life with someone who might never return her love. She wondered if she could bear the loneliness and lack of affection such a marriage would bring. She knew she couldn't change herself to please the emperor, yet she also feared the uncertain future awaiting her if he was as cold and unfeeling as she imagined. As the day of selection approached, Sophie felt more isolated and misunderstood. Her refusal to participate in the cultural activities had caused disapproval and whispers among the courtiers and the other candidates. Still, she knew she couldn't compromise her principles and values just to win their approval. When the day of the selection finally arrived, Sophie faced the emperor with courage and determination. She knew that her refusal to conform might cost her everything, but she was ready to accept the consequences. As the emperor observed her with a keen gaze, Sophie felt vulnerable and exposed. She knew she was risking everything by defying the court's expectations, but she also knew she could not regret following her heart. The Emperor fell in love with Sophie at first sight. It was a thunderbolt of emotion. The moment his eyes met hers, he knew, without a shadow of doubt, that she was the one destined to be his empress. Sophie, with her brown hair and starry eyes, captured his heart instantly. He was entranced by her beauty and grace. From that moment on, he could not get her out of his mind. He saw her in his dreams, imagined her by his side in every moment. His heart beat faster, and he knew he was destined to love her forever. When it was her turn to stand before the Emperor, Sophie spoke with honesty and sincerity that surprised everyone. With a resigned sigh, she lifted her head and looked straight into the Emperor's eyes. Her voice was firm and clear as she finally said, "Your Majesty, with all due respect, I cannot be the chosen one, for I wish to marry for love. I wish to find the true love of my life. I know my choice may not be understood by all, but it is the only choice I can make with integrity and honesty." As silence fell over the astonished crowd, Sophie felt a great weight lift from her shoulders, a sense of relief and freedom she hadn't felt in years. She knew her decision would defy the Empire's expectations and traditions, but she also knew it was the only way to live truly and faithfully to her own principles and heart. While the Emperor pondered her words, Sophie felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She knew her decision could determine the course of her life forever. But she also knew she could never live a lie just to win the crown and the title of Empress. The days passed, and the moment to reveal who had been chosen finally arrived. Sophie was the chosen one, and she was devastated. Her heart seemed to shatter into 1,000 pieces when she heard her name echo through the palace halls. It was as if all her worst fears and anxieties were materializing before her very eyes. She felt like a puppet in the hands of ancient traditions, forced to surrender her fate to a man she barely knew and deeply feared. While her parents and the members of the court celebrated her selection with joy and enthusiasm, Sophie felt increasingly lost and desperate. She tried to recall all the reasons why she had refused to take part in the selection, all the doubts and worries that had haunted her from the very beginning. Yet those inner voices were drowned out by the crushing weight of duty and expectation. As she prepared to meet the Emperor, Sophie felt a knot tighten in her throat. She knew she could not escape her destiny. She had been chosen to play a role she had never wanted for herself. Still, a part of her refused to accept the idea of spending the rest of her life beside someone she feared and despised. And then came the long-awaited day, the wedding. The palace was adorned with flowers and candles. Soft music echoed through the corridors as guests gathered to witness the union of the Emperor and his chosen bride, Sophie. During the ceremony, Sophie faced the Emperor with eyes filled with hatred and resentment. She felt like a prisoner about to be handed over to her captor, her heart heavy with the weight of a fate sealed against her will. However, as the ceremony went on, something began to change within her. She started to notice the beauty and gentleness of the man before her, the kindness that shone in his eyes, the shy smile that curved his lips. After the ceremony, Sophie was prepared and escorted to the Emperor's chambers for their honeymoon, something she did not desire. Her heart was heavy, for she had not chosen this path. She had been forced into it by ancient and immutable traditions. As she walked through the palace corridors, Sophie felt as though she were in a strange, unsettling dream. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was walking toward an uncertain and frightening future, far from the peaceful, simple life she had known in her village. Upon entering the Emperor's chambers, Sophie felt small and out of place amidst the opulence and luxury that surrounded her. She wondered if she would ever grow accustomed to this life of pomp and ceremony, or if she would always feel like a stranger in her own home. As the Emperor watched her with an attentive gaze, Sophie grew uneasy. As the night progressed, they shared a silent dinner, broken only by the soft sound of distant music. When the time finally came to retire for the night, Sophie felt her throat tighten once more. She knew that the night ahead would be one of the most difficult of her life, a forced intimacy that filled her with dread. As the Emperor approached her with a tense smile, Sophie felt a mix of fear and resignation wash over her. but she refused to consummate the marriage and confronted the emperor about her decision. She knew it was a difficult and risky choice, but she also felt it was vital to be honest with herself and with the man she was now bound to. With her heart pounding, Sophie summoned all her courage and faced the emperor. She calmly explained her reasons, expressing her wish not to move forward with physical intimacy until they were both truly ready and committed to one another. The emperor was taken aback by Sophie's frankness, yet he also admired her courage and resolve. He listened carefully, realizing that she was not only fighting for herself, but for her right to choose, for her autonomy. The emperor recognized his mistake in forcing the marriage and decided to wait until Sophie desired him of her own will. It was a powerful revelation for him, understanding that his actions had not only hurt Sophie, but had also compromised the integrity of their relationship. He was faced with the truth that real love cannot be commanded. It must be cultivated and nurtured with respect and understanding. With humility and determination, the emperor expressed his remorse and his willingness to make amends. He acknowledged that she was far more than just a wife to be obeyed. She was a partner who deserved to be heard and respected in every aspect of their shared life. Approaching Sophie, the emperor revealed his true emotions and vulnerabilities, sharing his worries and fears with her. He promised to be there for her, not only as her husband, but as her friend and confidant, ready to support her in moments of doubt and hardship. Sophie was surprised and moved by the emperor's sincerity. She saw in him a new light, a chance to start over, to build a future together based on mutual respect and trust. Her heart began to open to him, allowing him to see beyond her defenses and glimpse her true self. He left her in her chambers and withdrew to rest elsewhere in the palace, honoring her wishes. Sophie found herself torn between her initial aversion and her growing realization of the emperor's kindness. At first, she resisted any interaction with him, haunted by the circumstances that had bound them together. Yet as the days went by, and she witnessed the emperor's gentleness and concern for her well-being, something began to change within her. She caught herself thinking of him in unexpected moments, remembering his reassuring smiles and the quiet gestures of tenderness he showed her. She struggled with her conflicting feelings, trying to reconcile her initial resentment with the growing warmth she felt toward him. At times, she wondered if she was being foolish for allowing herself to grow close to the emperor, if she was deluding herself into thinking there could be something more between them than an arranged marriage. Yet she couldn't deny the special connection they shared, a bond that seemed to transcend the conventions and expectations of the world around them. While Sophie wrestled with her emotions, the emperor faced his own inner turmoil. He knew he had hurt her with his past actions, and was determined to heal the wounds he had caused. He longed to show her that he was not the cold, distant man she had once imagined, but someone who cared deeply for her and was willing to do anything to earn her trust and her love. Days go by, and Gaston devotes himself to winning Sophie's heart through gentle gestures and sincere attention. He soon realizes that earning Sophie's affection will not be easy, but he is determined to show her that his feelings are genuine and true. Each day, Gaston surprises Sophie with small acts of kindness and courtesy. He greets her every morning with a warm smile, bringing her fresh flowers from the palace garden. He invites her for strolls through the castle's beautiful gardens, sharing stories about his childhood and dreams for the future. Gaston also pays close attention to Sophie's interests and desires, always seeking to make her feel valued and appreciated. He gives her books he knows she loves and invites her to romantic candlelit dinners where they can talk and get to know each other more deeply. Sophie is touched by Gaston's efforts to win her over. She begins to see that behind the facade of a powerful emperor lies a caring and attentive man who would do anything to make her happy. As time passes, Sophie and Gaston develop a special friendship built on trust and mutual respect. They share laughter and secrets, dreams and fears, finding comfort and solace in each other's presence during difficult moments. While Gaston continues to court Sophie, she begins to wonder if her feelings toward him are starting to change. She finds herself longing for his company and seeking his opinion on the most important matters of her life. Despite their marriage appearing perfect in the eyes of the palace, they have not yet consummated it. Gaston loves and desires her deeply. To him, Sophie is far more than just a wife. She is his soulmate, his safe harbor amid the storms of palace life. With every passing day, Gaston finds himself more in love with Sophie. He admires her strength, determination, and kindness. He sees how she cares for the less fortunate in the kingdom, how she treats even the humblest with compassion and grace, and he feels profoundly grateful to have her by his side. But despite all the love and desire he feels for Sophie, Gaston knows he cannot pressure her to take the next step in their relationship. He understands that she needs time to feel comfortable and secure, and he is willing to wait as long as it takes for her to be ready. In the meantime, Gaston continues to show his love and appreciation for Sophie in every way he can. He surprises her with thoughtful gifts, takes her on romantic walks through the castle gardens, and treats her with the respect and dignity she deserves. Sophie, in turn, is deeply moved by Gaston's love and devotion. She sees in him not just the powerful emperor, but also the gentle, compassionate man who hides behind the crown. She knows she loves him too, but still struggles to overcome the scars of her past and allow herself to be truly happy. As their love continues to bloom, Sophie and Gaston both know that when the right moment comes, they will consummate their marriage, not out of duty, but because their hearts will guide them to that next step in their journey of love and mutual discovery. Around the 3rd month of marriage, Sophie realizes she is in love with Gaston. She feels deeply moved as she acknowledges the feelings blooming within her, like flowers unfolding in a secret garden. Every moment by his side makes her feel more alive, more complete. One day, as the sun sets over the palace towers, Sophie gathers all her courage and confides in Gaston her loneliness and her desire to spend the night with him. She knows it's a bold step, but her heart yearns for his closeness, for the intimate connection that only true love can bring. Upon hearing Sophie's words, Gaston feels his heart overflow with joy. He embraces her tenderly, holding her in his arms as if to protect her from all the evils of the world. He smiles at her, his eyes filled with love, and promises to do everything in his power to make her happy. Together, they retreat to the Emperor's chambers, where candlelight flickers against the walls, and the warmth of the fire crackles in the hearth. Sophie and Gaston surrender to each other, not only physically but emotionally, sharing their dreams, fears, and hopes as they become one. They finally consummate their marriage, sharing a night of incomparable tenderness. After months of waiting and anticipation, Sophie and Gaston find themselves united in a new, intimate way. It is a magical night, full of warmth and love. In the glow of candlelight, they give themselves completely, sharing passionate kisses and tender embraces. Every touch carries emotion. Every gaze overflows with love and desire. They explore the deepest corners of their hearts, surrendering to the moment with their entire souls. For Sophie, it is a transformative experience. She gives herself to Gaston's love with complete trust, feeling more connected to him than she ever thought possible. She marvels at how he makes her feel loved and desired, how he treats her with gentleness and respect in every moment. For Gaston, it is the fulfillment of his deepest dreams. He feels blessed to have Sophie by his side, sharing this special moment with him. He vows to protect and care for her forever, swearing to love her with all his being until the end of time. And when the sun rises over the horizon, Sophie and Gaston hold each other tenderly, knowing that their love will only grow stronger with time. They have a whole life ahead, full of adventures and challenges. But they know that together, they can overcome whatever fate may bring. For they have each other, and that is all that matters. The Emperor and Sophie publicly display their happiness and love for one another. Everyone in the palace gazes in admiration at the joy of the Emperor and his chosen one, Sophie, now the Empress. With the sun shining over the palace towers, the Emperor and Sophie walk hand in hand through the gardens, their smiles lighting the path ahead. They share loving glances and soft laughter, wrapped in the magical aura of the love that binds them. As they pass, the courtiers and servants bow in reverence, witnessing the greatness of this special moment. They whisper among themselves about the beauty of the royal couple and how their love seems to illuminate the entire kingdom. In the throne room, the emperor raises his glass in a toast to his beloved empress, Sophie. He expresses his gratitude for having her by his side, promising to protect and honor her for all eternity. Sophie, radiant, smiles with pure joy, feeling blessed to have found true love in the emperor's arms. As music fills the hall and guests celebrate, the emperor and Sophie dance together, their hearts beating in perfect harmony. They are the very embodiment of true love, a shining example for all in the kingdom to follow. And so, as day turns to night and the stars fill the sky, the emperor and Sophie continue to celebrate their love, knowing that together they can face whatever challenges the future may bring, for they have each other, and that is all that matters.